Mortiis came through Kansas City on February 2nd, 2020 to perform a live show at the Riot Room in support of his newest album, The Spirit of Rebellion. He was kind enough to sit down for a few minutes to talk to us. IGUKC would like to thank William Zimmerman, Mortiis, and the Riot Room for helping us put this coverage together.
Kansas City is what, the 8th stop for you on this particular tour? How close to that?
I believe that it is the 8th or the 9th. Yeah, I'm not counting anymore.
That's fine.
No.
But it's a good ways into the tour. 15 dates?
15 days. Pretty short tour. Kind of the way I like to do it now. Don't want to stay out too long.
How's it been so far?
Been good, man. I mean, I think the show's been good. We always do well on merch, which is good for me personally.
Absolutely.
Could have had more people, but you could always have more people.
Yes.
I feel like the promo might have been handled better, but just to be brutally fucking honest about it, I think it could have been better.
Okay.
But I mean, the show's been fucking great, and the people that came out, they're fucking happy. So everybody's happy in that sense.
How have people been reacting to the return to Era 1?
Really, really good. I've had guys that come up to me and go like, "Hey man, I've been listening to your stuff for like 25 years," and I'm like, "Shit, that's a long time to stick around." You know what I mean? So I thought that was fantastic. It's just to get like those guys. There's always like a couple of those like every night, and then I've been listening to you since like '96 or '95 or '94. Some even from back in the Emperor days, like '91, '92. I'm talking like you're getting close to 30 years. So that's some dedication, and I really appreciate that. So it's always nice to hear that.
Are you finding more people that are coming out specifically to hear that? Or do you get people that are showing up expecting the industrial rock band?
I don't know. I mean, there might be the odd person that hasn't quite gotten with the program and hasn't realized that what I do now is a back to roots kind of thing. But at the same time, I mean, I'm not that cynical. I don't go out there doing like market analysis and ask everybody,
right,
what do you expect tonight? Why did you come out? Yada, yada, yada. I don't really do that. So it's
okay.
kind of difficult to answer that, but impression I'm getting is people know what they're going into.
Coming out of the black metal scene, what got you into electronic music?
Step by step, I guess. I mean, when I was into black metal and I was into other things at the same time, I was probably fairly close-minded, but I mean, I did have a somewhat eclectic taste in metal. I mean, I was into heavy metal and black metal and some death metal at the time, so it was like somewhat wide perspective wise, but as soon as I kind of started really appreciating the atmospherics of black metal, I opened up to the atmospherics of certain other types of music as well, and a lot of that was sort of experimental industrial music and things like that. I started discovering stuff like the sort of originators of industrial music like Throbbing Gristle, Psychic TV, and Boyd Rice and things like that. And at the same time, I was also discovering what they call krautrock, and a lot of those old pioneers are not happy with that name, but terms are terms. You can't get away from it.
Right.
So I was getting into Klaus Schulze, early Kraftwerk and Tangerine Dream and things like that at the same time. Because that, to me, that all had this really interesting... In my world, I saw it as a dark type of atmosphere. Perhaps not Kraftwerk so much because they were a bit more poppy, but I appreciated their catchiness anyway. But I was connecting with those elements. And... as the 90s wore on, I was becoming more and more sort of. I grew older, and I started appreciating more varied music, and eventually I started discovering stuff like Ministry, Nine Inch Nails, and those types of things. I was aware of Nine Inch Nails since the early 90s when Head Like a Hole came out, and I saw the video as a kid, and I didn't understand it at the time because I was just into like Hellhammer and Sodom and stuff like that, but. I did look at the video because it was playing a lot on TV, and I'm thinking, this is fucking something different. I don't understand it, but it's definitely different. And years later, the Nine Inch Ministry, those types of Skinny Puppy, those guys, they became like really, really important to me in the sense that I realized they were very, very creative. I loved eventually, when I started understanding it more, I really did appreciate the fact that they kind of like they smashed several genres together and made it into like this mutated new thing. And that was very inspiring to me, especially towards the end of the 90s, as I was looking for something new to do.
One of the things that, at least I've perceived, is that there is a bias in a lot of the metal community against electronic music. Is that something you've butted up against?
I've just kind of seen it happen. I mean, I guess I've seen reviews where they quite just don't understand what's going on.
Actually, I've seen those reviews.
Oh, yeah. But you live with it. You know, it is what it is. I can't make the rules. I make music I want to fucking, that inspires me, and then that's as far as it goes for me. Is it frustrating sometimes? I mean, I suppose it is. I mean, you make something that you're fucking happy with, and you feel like you're being creative, and somebody goes, "This isn't black metal," and you go, "Well, it was never fucking supposed to be." I mean, what the fuck? But fuck it, man. I mean, what am I supposed to do? Just fucking cave in and go like, "Okay, I'll make something else because to make you happy." Some asshole in Greece or something like that that's unhappy with what the fuck, whatever I do. I don't give a fuck about that. It's it is what it is. But I suppose certain people just want things clean, which sounds like they're fucking racist to me. But that's their problem.
So I did an entire crash course in your catalog.
Right.
The album that I seem to have latched on to myself is Perfectly Defect.
Yeah, that is a strange record. It's very, very much an instrumental album. It's got, I believe, I think it's got 10 or 12 songs on it, and less than half has vocals. It was actually made at the same time as The Great Deceiver. And the way that it kind of, that sort of panned out was that I was making all this music at the same time, and I realized, shit, this is more than one record. And a lot of this stuff is kind of weird and strange and artistic. Because a lot of times I just follow ideas and see what happens, and all of a sudden you got this strange fucking song. But I guess that's natural. That was maybe the way it was supposed to be. But yes, I had a whole big selection of like instrumentals / strange music. And then there was another selection of music that I felt was quote unquote easier listening, slightly more traditionally arranged and things like that. And I'm thinking, okay, so this should be my main album, The Great Deceiver. Then I'll put all this other stuff out on Perfectly Defect, and that'll be my artistic strange album. So it was just this little sort of conscious decision to sort of like, oh, like this song goes there, that song goes there. So that's how that came around. But you're not the only one to say that, and I think that's very interesting. I think it's cool that people pick that record, because it kind of means a lot to me too. Because that record is strange and it's weird. So just for that reason alone, I think it's great that people pick it out. It means I'm not the only weird person around, and also the fact that I used that album as a middle finger to the industry. That was the one that I actually put up on Bandcamp, and I said, this is for free. This is the straight gift from me to all the fans, whoever. Not they don't have to be fans. They just, just punch in a couple of fucking buttons and the album's yours. It doesn't have to cost you a dime. So that was kind of a milestone for me in the sense that I was able to it was like my protest album. I was just so sick of the industry. I mean, all the fuckery and the fucking rip-off the stuff that's going on, and how has this all gotten so difficult? So it was like, fuck off, here's my album, have it for free, appreciate you guys for just staying around. So it's got a lot of symbolic meaning to me.
It's atmospheric because it is mostly instrumental, but it's still heavy. I love the break beats that they're in the song, like that.
Oh, the Thieving Bastards and that stuff. Yeah.
That wasn't the only one I didn't think, but yeah, stuff like
There's
that.
There's a couple of them that has that. There was a part in there was a moment in time when I was really getting into that sort of like British big beat, Chemical Brothers, Prodigy, Fatboy Slim type of thing. And I really dove into that a little bit, and I kind of mixed it into my own kind of thing. And
there was also some kind of bluesy guitars in there on a couple tracks too.
Yeah. There was some weird, strange stuff going on. We were very experimental in the studio. We were in this cool studio. We didn't really have a time limit or anything, and there was a lot of great equipment. And it was just like one of those magical times where, here's a ton of fucking gear. See what happens. And how often does that happen? You know what I mean? So you just got to seize the opportunity.
Okay, so you've released The Spirit of Rebellion.
Mm-hmm.
You're doing this tour. What's your plans after this?
I've said this a few times before, and of course, just stuff gets in the way. But the idea is to sit down and start working on some new music.
Okay.
I have a lot of stuff like this laying around on hard drives, and that just kind of started and wasn't able to, for some reason or other, to pick up and then continue on. It's a classic, like, well, I got this little thing that it might not be more than just like a melody idea or something like that, but it's like good enough to keep, you know. So yeah, the idea is to just start pulling all that stuff out and try to put it together and get something out of it.
I've heard in several interviews where you talk about dealing with depression.
Right.
And it's probably the same thing throughout the world. I only know the United States and whatnot. Depression and suicide awareness and things like that have become a bigger issue within the community, especially with Cold Waves Festival. The death of Jamie Duffy kind of starting that whole thing and kickstarting a lot of industrial stuff back in the United States.
Right.
I was just wondering if you could speak to how depression has affected you, at least creatively.
Yeah, I mean, creatively, well, I mean, first of all, thankfully, I haven't really felt, I haven't gone to those dark places in a while. I know a lot of people that do still, and I'm very, very glad to say that I'm not there. But you never know. It's always this famous last, I'm doing well now. 2 months later, you're fucking floating up in a riverbank, you know.
Yes.
Yeah. So don't speak too soon, and I don't want to sound negative. That's a pretty negative start. But as for me, whenever I was in that space of mind, you're never able to do much when you just gotta. You close down and you deal with your thoughts and all that stuff, and you do your best to fight through it. And but as an artist, what I've done is like once you're through that stuff, you kind of look back and you never forget how you felt. So it can be inspiring in retrospective. So lyrically, you can write some really true stuff, you know, based upon what you were dealing with. So, you know, I always said that I had that privilege and a lot of people don't. I mean, I can at least turn that bullshit into something creative in hindsight. So that's a great thing for me, you know, to be able to do that. And I hope other artists kind of at least get something out of it in the same way. Instead of just going like, oh, God, I feel like shit all the time, and then that's all there is to it. At least you can kind of beat the demon by going, well, at least I'm profiting off of you. You know what I mean?
Right. Okay. And I apologize that you had to come in Kansas City on Super Bowl day when the Chiefs are actually playing in the game.
I was aware of it. I was Chuck, the guy that was sitting here, been my friend for 25 years. He warned me a couple of weeks ago. So I've been aware of it. I knew it was going to, I know that it will most likely get crazy, so out in the streets or whatever the fuck, you know.
Yeah, but the show starts afterwards, so I think you'll still be all right.
Good. I don't know when I'm on. I'm assuming 10 or something like that. I never get handed stage time, so it's like, well, do I just make the decision myself? All right, it's going to be 2 o'clock in the morning. I'll do like an Axl Rose, keep people waiting for like 4 hours. There'd be like one person left out. And that's a bouncer.